Let me guess. You've been eating clean, working out, doing everything right, and yet your body refuses to change. Pants still tight, scales stuck, frustration level off the charts. And then you hear that magical advice just eat less and move more. Here's the truth the biggest thing standing in the way of your fat loss may not be your diet or your workout plan, it's your stress. And I'm not just talking about being a little anxious. I'm talking about how stress literally hijacks your hormones, your metabolism, and your brain, making fat loss feel impossible. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why stress messes up your results and what you can actually do about it. Hey y'all, welcome back to Doozy Talks with Susie, where we keep it real about fitness, nutrition, mindset, and how to live in sync with your body and your purpose. I want you to know, this video is personal to me. When I lost 80 pounds, I thought the secret was going to be diet or exercise. And those things mattered, but they were all controlled by stress. And stress was the first thing I had to learn to get under control before I really started noticing that drop in my weight. Stress was literally the reason I overate. Stress was the reason I skipped my workouts. Stress was the reason I felt stuck in a body I didn't even recognize. So if you've ever felt trapped in the same cycle, you're not broken and you're definitely not alone. I'm going to break it down very simple because this is something I wish I could have found when I first started on my weight loss journey, and simple steps on what you can do to help manage your stress every day and help support that weight loss goal that you have for yourself. Let's start simple. Stress isn't just in your head. It's your body's alarm system. Your brain goes, danger! And your adrenals release cortisol, the stress hormone. Back in the day, that was helpful. Like if you're running from a tiger, that cortisol gives you the energy burst to sprint away so that you can stay alive. But today, the tiger is your boss's 10 p.m. email, or the traffic jam making you late, or that fight you had with your spouse, and guess what? Your body still reacts the same way, as if you're running from a tiger. Here's what cortisol does. It raises your blood sugar, so you've got energy for fight or flight. It slows down digestion and recovery, because who cares about nutrients when a tiger is chasing you? And worst of all, it tells your body to hold on to fat, especially around your belly, because again, you're running away. You don't know when your next meal is going to be. You need to survive. So your body's going to slow everything down so that you can survive until the next time you get to eat something. So you could be eating salads and crushing your workouts, but if your stress is high, cortisol can literally cancel out all that incredible hard work you've been doing. Your body's priority under stress is survival, not fat loss. The cortisol raises insulin, which promotes the fat storage, and the body likes to store that fat right around your midsection. That's why stress belly is actually a real thing. And understand, you can't actually spot reduce fat. So when you start losing weight, you're going to lose the fat from all over your body, and usually the body wants to hang on to that belly fat as long as humanly possible. For me, this was the most frustrating part of my journey. I was in a calorie deficit, but I felt bloated, puffy, and like my body was stuck in cement. The harder I tried, the worse it felt because I was just piling stress on top of stress. You know what? Drop a frustrated emoji in the comments if you've ever felt like stress sabotaged your progress before. That way I know I'm not alone on this, because here's the part that stings. Sometimes your workouts make the problem worse. And it took me like 4 years to figure that out, and several people telling me like, hey, Susie, you're doing too much. You need to take it easy. You're stressing your body out. And I couldn't understand what they were saying, because on the computer and on the phone, whatever app you're using, it says I'm burning tons of calories. So how could I be going backwards? How could I be gaining weight if I'm burning more calories than I'm consuming? I was confused. And it took me 4 or 5 years until I understand that layering on hours of intense workouts can backfire everything because of that cortisol. So that was me, running every single day, thinking more cardio would finally shrink my waistline, but instead I was exhausted, cranky, and still stuck. Why? Because I was overtraining and frying my system. And if that wasn't bad enough, stress even changes how your genes respond. This one blew my mind, and this one is something I just discovered in the past couple months to actually how deep that is. So here's the wild thing. Not everyone responds to stress the same way, and we all know that because if you're like me, Joan, who lives down the street, can get over any issue under the sun, no problem. And I'll be sitting over here like still stressing out because I burnt dinner last Tuesday. So what's going on here? Well, there's these two genes. One is called COMT and the other is MAOA. You don't need to memorize it. Just understand that these genes help you clear out stress chemicals like adrenaline. And some people clear them more quickly and move on, like my neighbor Joan. Others, like me, clear them slower, so we stay wired, jittery, and anxious much longer. And then there's also this other gene called MTHFR. If you've got this variant, your body may struggle with recovery, mood balance, and resilience. So if you noticed you struggle, maybe taking a methylated B vitamin would help calm those down. And then you also have these cortisol metabolizers. I'm not going to go into detail on what all the names of those are, but basically some people literally hold on to cortisol longer, meaning they stay in stress mode hours after the trigger is gone. And here's what happens. This is the best analogy I've got right now. Imagine there's two people hearing a fire alarm. One can hit the off button quickly. The other has the alarm blaring all night. Same stress, different DNA. That explains so much for me, why I'd see other people shake things off while I was still overthinking every little thing. So here's the thing though. With DNA, we have one part that comes from our parents and one copy that comes from the other parent. And you can decide which ones you switch on and make active based off of how much stress you're putting on your body. If you're putting too much stress on your body, then you're going to turn on everything you don't want. And then all the genes that you do want to have working properly are not going to be able to do what they need to do. So the idea here is get the ones you don't want to be working, like all of your high stress ones. Maybe if you have some gene variants, you want to get those all turned off. You need to do things that are not going to stress out your body, which does not mean, dear Brenda, who lives on the other side of the street, we do not need to go buy tons of chocolate and go shopping every weekend because that helps us feel good. Not what I'm talking about here. We will go into detail on that probably in a different video, but we're going to slightly touch on it now. So let's talk about how stress sneaks in and cancels your diet progress. Digestion is going to slow down. So even if you're eating well, you're not absorbing nutrients properly because your stress is too high. Like I said, if you're running away from a tiger, your body's not thinking about how can I be using our nutrients. It's thinking, how can I survive? We need to run faster. Then your next one is your sleep starts to tank, which wrecks recovery and increases our cravings. Oh, great. Now we've got midnight snacking. And then emotional eating takes over. And believe me, this was my biggest problem. Still is. If I'm not paying attention to what's going on inside of me with my mind and the stressors that I deal with every day, then I find myself eating way more than I need to, eating comfort foods, and then I've got more problems. Your brain literally craves the quick sugars and carbs for fast energy because you need fast energy when you're running from a tiger. So, yes, but we're not running from tigers. We're dealing with our grumpy boss. We're dealing with Brenda from HR, and those don't require fast energy. So we have to teach our brain how to calm down instead of running for the fast energy. And this started to explain why I'd eat perfectly all week and then face plant into a pint of Oreo ice cream on Friday night. I wasn't weak. I was just stressed out, and my body was screaming for relief. So what finally helped? Let's talk about that. Here's the part that turned everything around for me. I didn't just stop being stressed. That's not realistic. We don't just turn off the stress switch. We can't turn around and tell everybody like, oh, you stressed me out today. I can't have anything to do with you. We can't do that. We deal with people every day. And sometimes somebody might say something you don't appreciate, but we can't sit there and be stressed out about it. So the first thing I did, and this has been years of working on this one, is learning to pay attention to my thoughts. I had to stop overreacting to every little thing. And I'm telling you, it was my biggest help. Because when you start paying attention to your thoughts and watching what goes through your head, you start seeing, oh, I'm upset about this. Maybe somebody said something you didn't like. Maybe somebody honked at you when you were driving down the freeway because you weren't driving as fast as they wanted you to drive. Well, if you're like me, that can be stressful because what if they were going to end up like hitting my car with their car because they were so mad about me not driving 90 on the freeway? Well, I'm stressed out for the rest of the day because that was difficult. But when I slow down and think about what's actually going on in this moment, I wasn't hit by a car. All they did was honk. I moved out of their way. They went on their merry way, very fast, merry way, and everything was fine. The cop caught up to them a couple miles later, and justice was served. So I'm fine. I don't need to be stressed about that tonight when I go to bed. But I used to be. So finding out what's making you feel those stressors, evaluating it, and realizing that in this moment, everything is actually pretty good, it's going to help calm things down. Next thing I did was supplements. I started taking a few calming supplements daily, and they made a noticeable difference. And I know people want to know, what do you take? What do you take? All right. I take a magnesium complex. Most people are low on magnesium. So I recommend people take magnesium. As a health coach, I recommend magnesium complex. I take the Bioptimizers. Just throwing that out there. I feel amazing. What else do I take? There is another one called, it's been like labeled as Mag-Teen. And it's a special form of magnesium that's not included in some magnesium complex vitamins. So I take that one separate, and it helps calm my brain down when I'm trying to go to sleep at night. Because again, my brain's going crazy. I'm thinking of every possible scenario on the planet. So I need to calm down and go to sleep. I'll take that. I also take methylated B vitamins every morning when I wake up because that helps my brain with focus and calm. And I'll also take these two that help. It helps myself stay calm, but it's another thing that helps with the brain. So one is called TMG, and one is called liposomal glutathione. And those are my main ones that I take to help as calming. And I take them kind of staggered throughout the day, so I'm not getting a hit of all of it at one time. And those things have helped me so much with naturally calming. I know some people like to take other plants to help with calming. Those have been my most effective, though. So I did that. Sleep. Okay, let me tell you something, people. Sleep has been like my arch nemesis since the day I was born, basically. And I thought it was normal to only get about 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night since I was a kid because that's what happened to me. I just couldn't sleep at night. So I thought it was normal. My mom couldn't sleep at night, so I thought people just didn't sleep. My dad didn't always sleep at night. He'd be up in the middle of the night. My mom would be up in the middle of the night. I was like, people just don't sleep. That's normal, not a big deal. But then people kept talking about with weight loss, oh, you need to make sure you're getting your 8 hours of sleep. And I'm like, what is that? So I started working on my sleep routine because I did feel tired like all the time because I wasn't sleeping. So then I was on caffeine 24/7 because I couldn't sleep. It was a vicious cycle. So I started figuring out how to really work on my sleep. Again, goes back to magnesium. And I took a few other supplements. I'll take some sleepy time tea in the evening to help the whole calming down process. I've started taking up hobbies for my evening routine because I used to watch like TV shows. So I'd have this big bright screen on my face, or I'd be playing on my phone, bright screen again. And that's shown to stop the hormone that helps you be able to go to sleep at night. And so I've switched over to doing other things like reading a book before bedtime or doing a crochet project because I took back up crocheting again. And those things naturally help me start to feel tired, helps the melatonin production, which is the sleep hormone. And I started feeling more and more better. Then, so basically that helped with my sleep. Then we went on to the diet adjustments. So I've been playing games with my diet since I don't even know. Like it's been 8 years of me playing with my diet, trying to figure out what works because when I first started on my health journey, I couldn't afford a health coach. I couldn't afford a dietitian. I couldn't afford a fitness coach. All I could do was ask people I knew what they did and then try to incorporate whatever I was willing to do, which wasn't always effective. I finally had to just break down and do what I had to do in order to get there. But the big piece was eating more protein because that leads to less blood sugar spikes. When you eat more protein and fats, it helps reduce the blood sugar spikes. And then I also started eating less and less sugars, even the fake sugars, because some people will switch over and be like, well, now I use sugar-free syrup or I use the sugar-free sweetener things. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to destroy your brain. I'm sorry. Science has proven those diet stuff will destroy your brain. So I never recommend those. There's a few here and there that are okay. I personally enjoy using honey because it also has, it's antibacterial So you get the good stuff too. If it's local, it's also going to help with seasonal allergies. So like it's a win-win-win all around. The next thing I did was I changed my workouts. So instead of hammering my body with stress workouts, which was basically HIIT or running for an hour or more every day, and I can't even call it progressive overload workouts. It was like bodybuilder type workout. So I'm going as heavy as I can. I'll start light and then I'll build that up during the same workout and go as heavy as humanly possible, to the point where I have almost like questionable, what do we call that word? Questionable proper form. So I'm like bordering on losing proper form just to perform the exercise. And it was awful. Now I do strength, but I prefer high reps, medium weight, and then walking. And I'll walk for an hour in zone 2 cardio. And I feel good. I don't feel stressed out. I don't feel exhausted. I'm building muscle. I'm burning fat because zone 2 cardio, and you can find it's like, I think it's 40 to 60% of your max heart rate. So if you want to do the math for yourself, it's like 220 minus your age. I don't know why 220 is the magic number, but this is how they figure it out. 220 minus your age is going to be your max heart rate. So my max heart rate is 189. Now, my zone 2 cardio heart rate zone is 114 to 134. So you kind of go at it that way. Yeah, it's like, that's not 40 to 60%. That would be like zone 1. Anyways, it's higher than that. It's closer to like 70% or something like that. But I'm not able to do the math right now because we're doing a video. So I changed my workouts. Then I did the next big thing. And this one I didn't do until this year, the beginning of this year, that it like absolutely changed my life. I went and got DNA tested. And I did multiple DNA tests because I wanted to know as many of my DNA strands as humanly possible because it helped piece things together for me a lot. So the big one was that it explained why these things were harder for me. And knowing that the stress wasn't just in my head, like watching my thoughts and paying attention to what was giving me stressors and learning to just be present and in the moment, yes, that helped a ton. But then I also can realize like my genes are actually kind of making it hard to let go of things as well. And that helped me be like, oh, okay, I don't have to try to fix myself. I can just work with what I've got and keep trying to build myself and build my character so that eventually, maybe I can get those negative stressors down and get those genes turned off that are causing me, I don't know what to call it, stress? So, all right, guys, here's what you can take away. Stress raises cortisol, which literally blocks fat loss. Some of us are genetically more stress sensitive. Stress cancels out even the best diet and workout plans. Calm your stress down. But when you calm your body, fat loss doesn't just get easier, it finally feels possible. So if you feel stuck right now, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're stressed. And that is something you can work with, just like what I've learned to work with. So if this video has spoken to you, hit like, share it with a friend who's always stressed out, and tell me in the comments which stress habit you're tackling first. And don't forget to subscribe because my next video is the 3 hidden reasons your body won't lose fat, even on low calories. You don't want to miss that. Take a breath. You got this, guys. See you in the next video.